Viewers, a very warm welcome to In Dialogue with Ahsan Zaman. Today we have with us one of the Pakistan's leading superstar actors, Hareem Farooq. And Hareem is also a superstar producer in Pakistan. As we all know, she has produced three films, Janan, Heed Manja, and Parchi. And she is still in her 20s, and she has acted in more than 13 dramas, done theatre plays, and now she's on to becoming one of the biggest producers of Pakistan, and she's hitting the mainstream commercial cinema like no one else has done. So, Hareem, thank you for joining us on the show. First of all, how are you?
I'm good, thank you so much. And first of all, thank you for the very kind introduction. I'm humbled.
It's a pleasure.
And
I'm
glad to be here.
You have actually, earned it your way, so you deserve that kind of intro. Hareem, we wanted to begin the interview with your sort of background, very briefly before we, hit onto your acting. You grew up in Islamabad, if I'm not wrong, right?
Absolutely. I'm born and raised in Islamabad. Probably the only generation which can proudly say that, yes, I'm a true Islamabadi. I was born and raised in Islamabad. Finally, Islamabad is coming up with Islamabadi.
Wow. And your entire schooling was done in Islamabad as well?
Absolutely, entire schooling. I did my A levels from here. I did my bachelor's from here, and then I went to Karachi.
So, growing up in Islamabad, I mean, you seem like a very intelligent, ambitious, hardworking person. Growing up in Islamabad, did in any way, when you were at school, impact you to become an entrepreneur or a producer or an actor, or was there something that it happened accidentally to you?
More than my schooling, my family has a huge part to play in this. Yes, my especially my grandfather and my mother and my father, because ever since I can remember, हमें हमेशा एक चीज बताई गई थी. We're just two sisters, and starting from my dada, we were just always told, do whatever you want to, and never say no because you're a girl. Say no because you don't want to do it. So, शुरू से एक चीज दिमाग में डालेगी कि हाँ जी, and that life, the world is full of endless possibilities, and you pursue whatever you want to, and whatever you pursue, just be the best at it. तो एक शुरू से जब आपके घर में एक चीज एक ऐसी बताई जाती है, and then the school that I went to, they used to have a lot of extracurricular activities going on, and they were very keen on making kids confident rather than just educated. They wanted them to be confident as well, so they would work on our personalities as well. Like we would have theatre plays, and we would have all these charity classes, and these writing classes, and they would make us do these things. Wow. They would encourage sharing. They would encourage all these extracurricular activities that basically play a huge part in building a personality. So wow. For me, this जो कहते हैं ना, ये जो एक्टिंग का जो शौक था, जो जोश था, वो घर से ही शुरू हुआ. And then the whole entrepreneur thing that came from my parents again, because I've seen my dad, I've seen my mother work, and especially my mother, I've seen her. She's still a working woman, mashallah, and she's doing great, and I've seen her run her own business. Same goes with my dad. I mean, both of them are doctors, but so for my dad, it was like there's a man who's done double PhD in biostatistics and maths, and then I have a mother
double PhD.
Yeah, double PhD, and and then and also an MBBS doctor. So he started with MBBS, that is specialization in public health. So imagine, so how could I not be told that you can't do this? And then my mother, who's a very certified, mashallah, successful dermatologist. So all my life I've seen the role models I've had. They've been working, they've been trying to be successful in their fields, and just give all their efforts and or just give their best to their professions, to their passions, basically. So ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता था कि मेरे में अगर एक acting का शौक है तो वो उसको मैं pursue ना करूँ.
True.
Again, it stems from my family. Yeah, sort of. And then कहते हैं ना सोने पे सुहागा. In fact, I recently revealed this. My dada was a huge fan of Madam Noor Jahan. He was a huge fan.
Okay.
Oh, including my whole family. तो मुझे तो जो सबसे पहली चीज याद है ना मुझे आर्ट से रिलेटेड, कोई इस तरह मीडिया से कोई रिलेटेड. आई रिमेम्बर वाचिंग मैडम नूर जहां अनारकली. It was
Oh,
Mughal Azam when she played
what a cool
Anarkali in
film.
it.
Yes, indeed.
So और उसमें मुझे आज तक मेरे ज़हन में ना वो सदा हूँ अपने प्यार की वो होता था, क्योंकि अभी तक चलता है ज़हन में, क्योंकि जब वो लगता था टीवी पे, my दादा had those tapes, वो जो VCR में उस टाइम पे डलती
जी
होती
जी,
थी, and
sure.
he used to love that song and he was always in awe of her. So for me, मेरे लिए तो having that connection with my dada and knowing that he adores this beautiful woman
Wow,
who's an actor, and
wow,
आहिस्ता आहिस्ता बड़े होके as I grew up I found out who she really was. तो
wow,
for me तो शुरू से एक
wow.
कहते हैं ना आर्टिस्ट जगा चुके थे हमारे घर वाले,
Congratulations.
मुझ में और मेरी बहन.
So, did you ever at any point, think that I want to be Noor Jahan or I want to be singer like her, or
At any
were there
point
other actors you were more sort of looking up to when you were growing up?
there were many actors, but Madam Noor Jahan being the first one I came in contact with.
Of
So
course.
for me, she became that, I put her in a very high pedestal over there.
Yeah.
So for me, she became my very first inspiration.
Wow.
एंड देन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता क्या कहते हैं, बीच में हमें इजाजत भी नहीं होती थी कि अकेले बैठ के फिल्में देखेंगे, एंड दैट टू
Oh, अच्छा.
हाँ, ये तो नहीं
Right.
होता था, ये तो नहीं हो सकता था, बच्चे थे हम. तो फिर हमें जब भी मौका मिलता था तो दिखाया जाता था. अनदर एक्टर दैट अच्छा, दिस इज वेरी पीपल think that it's very weird because another actor that I was exposed to at a very young age was Nasiruddin Shah.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Love him. He's
I
amazing.
my dada used to make us watch Ghalib at that time.
हाँ, मुझे याद है. I remember that.
Remember?
Yeah, I do. I do.
I mean, और वहीं से I think उसके बाद मतलब I used to see कि how they, for the longest of times I thought Nasiruddin Shah was Ghalib himself for a very long time.
Yes. Yes.
मतलब I was like, मुझे लगता था कि हाँ वही है, and then I realized, oh God, no, he's this brilliant actor who played Ghalib. So for me, Madam Noor Jahan and Nasiruddin Shah, they became my very first two inspirations, and then came Madhuri.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed, indeed. She
Then
was
came
so.
Madhuri. So हाँ, मतलब starting from a very young age, एक interest develop हो गया फिर Indian movies, and then a lot of even Hollywood movies for that matter. My घर में
Yeah.
बहुत मतलब our family appreciates art a lot, be
अच्छा.
it of any form.
Right,
So
right, right.
we appreciate literature, we appreciate art, we're a family that's fond of it.
Talking
So
about literature, are you reading something these days?
so मुझे अभी recently somebody recommended Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. So
That's
that is something
amazing.
that I'm going to start reading.
You
But
should.
I'll be very honest, I'm
Yeah.
not much of a reader. I'll be
Absolutely.
honest.
Same here.
And my
Neither am I. Yeah.
हाँ, or
True.
no, and बचपन से ना my dad keeps on telling me even till this day, like, you read more books, read more books. I was like, Abbu
You
ji,
don't.
I start reading books, but
Yeah.
somewhere in between I get distracted.
Yeah.
I used to oh sorry,
आपकी वो चली. It's
I'm
okay.
sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So I used to read a lot of books, but then when I started working, I used to get distracted, और फिर वो halfway through book रह जाती थी. तो उस चक्कर में मेरी रीडिंग थोड़ी कम हो गई है, लेकिन रोज डांट पड़ती है मुझे.
Fascinating, fascinating. So, Hareem, ये बताइए कि you grew up in Islamabad, but you then for work you moved to Karachi, right?
I did.
And so how, I mean, before we move any further, how would you compare the people of Karachi to people of Islamabad? Is there any difference in terms of their demeanor, in terms of their kindness, or how would you compare them?
There absolutely is, for sure. I mean, both the cities have a different vibe. Both the cities have a completely different nature to them. Islamabad is a very laid back, very relaxed kind of city,
It
full of
is.
bureaucrats,
I
and
love it.
all.
Uh,
You got all your bureaucracy over here, and your politics going on over
Diplomats.
here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then Karachi, on the other hand, is this beautiful. It has this beautiful raw energy to it, which is like, you or most of the times, there's never a moment where you'll find कि अच्छा चलो ठीक है, I could be lazy right now, or I could get relaxed right now, because something or the other is happening, and it's happening at the speed of lightning. It's like thak 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 thak.
Wow.
So obviously इतना जब कुछ हो रहा होता है तो एक नेचर डेवलप हो जाती है वहां पे जो लोग रह रहे होते हैं. तो definitely there's a huge difference. I remember when I went to Karachi, for me it was kind of kind of a shock. Okay, oh my God, acha, whoa, acha, itna तेज Karachi, whoa, acha. So for
Yes,
me, it became like that. But
very fast paced.
uh, yeah, and I remember coming back to Islamabad after the longest I stayed in Karachi for 6 months, and then when I came back to Islamabad, and I was like, hey, ये सारे इतने slow क्यों हैं मैं? ये सारे what is wrong? And but then again, both the cities have their
Well,
own
maybe
pros
because
and
they're
cons.
high, like altitude wise. So,
हाँ, तो मुझे
it's not,
लेकिन मुझे एक चीज मैंने realize की, मैंने कहा being an Islamabadi, it was very difficult for me to live in Karachi. It was very difficult for me
oh, okay.
uh, because Islamabad has its own thing going on, and also that my family and my friends were here, so for me it was more comfortable. But
It
in
is.
Karachi, there was no time to de-stress. There was no time to
Acha.
just,
It's like constant
sit
non-stop work.
back
Right.
constantly, not which is great for
So
the
like
ability.
if you had to settle down eventually somewhere, let's say you have to build a house and you say, okay, this is where I'm going to settle. Would you choose Karachi or Islamabad?
Islamabad for sure. That's a
Uh,
no-brainer for me.
Islamabad.
Yeah,
Oh,
Islamabad. I
oh,
got my life here. I got my people here. This city has made me who I am today.
true,
So
true.
Islamabad for sure.
There you go, Islamabadian. Well done. So Hareem, I just was curious about you mentioned that you've always been had a supporting family, आप लोग movies भी देखते and all that, and then your dada, kind of your family, your parents encourage you to do whatever you want. But at what point did it actually, strike you? I really want to be an actor. Was this after you left school, or was this like during school you thought, okay, I genuinely want to be an actor now?
Honestly speaking, for some weird reason, I always had this thing that I want to be an
Sure.
actor, but I was never really vocal about it. I wasn't,
Oh,
because
okay, all right,
I didn't know whether, it could be a profession.
right,
I
right.
had no media background. My family was in no way connected to any form of media out there. So for me, it was just like, "Kacha chalo shauk hi hai." It's something that I love doing. I was never stopped from doing theater in school as well. So मुझे होता था कि चलो ठीक है, I'll treat it as a hobby. But it used to excite me so much.
So
It
much,
would just make
exactly.
me so happy that I
Yeah.
would be like, it would make me sad at the same time, thinking that, maybe there's no way that I can be an actor or I could be a mainstream actor.
Wow.
Then I remember I was, after my A levels, I started studying law. So for me,
Okay.
there were three professions that, I would have pursued.
Sure.
Either it was psychology, law, or acting. So
Okay.
acting being the most, impossible profession that ho hi nahi sakta. So I pursued law. So
Okay.
when I
Acha.
started, I was studying law, and then Usman Khalid Bhatt calls me one day, and he's a very dear and very old friend. He calls
Your
me
own
one day.
man.
He was doing this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, and I tell him, you're responsible for this. This is your responsibility. So, okay. He calls me one day, and I still remember I was studying for my mocks.
Right.
He was doing a theater play. He said, "Can you come and audition for a role?" He knew, how much I loved acting. He knew that.
Acha.
So,
Okay.
because हमारा बहुत वो होता था back and forth. हम creatively इस तरह की कुछ ना कुछ बातें शातें करते
Right.
रहते थे.
Right.
So he's like, do you want to audition for a theater play? I was like, oh my God, no, I can't do that. I have my mocks in 2 weeks. So, and right now I'm actually studying. I have my criminal law ki book open in front of me. I can't. So
Wow.
he's like, अच्छा चलो देख लो तुम्हारी मर्जी. I was like, अच्छा ठीक है. When I put the phone down, like for the next 3 minutes, I was just so restless. And I was like, I
Yeah.
called him within 5 minutes. I was like, "Acha, listen, I can come for like half an hour. Would it be okay?" So he's like, "हाँ हाँ, आ जाओ." I went there, I auditioned, I got the role. Then I was like, "अच्छा चलो, एक और hobby complete करने वाली बात हो रही है. चलो ठीक है, सही है." But
Mm.
when I performed, the very first show that I performed, and at the very first step that I took on that stage,
Right.
it was literally like a epiphany that I have to do
Wow.
this. There's no other thing that I want to do. There's no other thing that
So
would make me so
that day
happy.
transformed your life technically.
And the irony is, it was the worst show I have ever performed in my life. Ever.
All
In
right.
fact, last night we were just together and we were discussing how I cried for 2 hours after the show, and I was like, I was so bad. I was so
That's
bad.
the irony of it. And it made you
Yes,
who
it
you are
is.
today, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. But in that moment, I was very clear that this is what I wanted to do, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it,
Mm.
what I'm going to do, but this is it. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to pursue my passion because this excites me.
Wow, what a turning point. And I think
It
that
was.
means that Usman Khalid Butt is the person responsible for your coming into acting, technically.
Absolutely,
Wow,
absolutely,
okay.
100%.
Well, I think that is one of the things that, I mean, it's a classic example of you think you're going to do one thing, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you realize that's what you want. So that was your
True.
kind of eureka moment, which is, I think,
Yes,
amazing.
absolutely.
Good for you. Well done. And I think look where you are now. You're still in your 20s, and you've achieved so much. So well done. Uh, Talking about your career, Hareem, I was actually like, I didn't know you had appeared in 13 dramas, and that's a lot of dramas for someone who's in their 20s. And you have also produced 3 films, and then you've done theater. But I was curious to know someone who has been in theater, then sort of started acting. For someone like you who was pretty young at the time, when you saw yourself on the big screen, what was the impression when you saw your own self on the huge cinema screen? What did you think of yourself?
Okay, so this is going to be a very weird answer because I'm very critical of myself.
Okay, right.
So the first time I saw myself on the big screen, I was just looking at myself and I was like, okay, acha, this is ye maine galat kiya, ye galat kiya, ye galat kiya, ye galat kiya. Okay. For me, you just said that I did 13 dramas and I did numerous theater plays. I've never counted. Because for me, it's just like, okay, karo, let's do this.
Right,
This is done, move on. This is
right,
done. Analyze this, learn from your mistakes, move on, do it better the next time. So for me, it's like that. I've never counted or I've never sat back and realized, oh, so this is how much I've done. For
mm,
me, it's always like, okay, so this is how much is left to be done. For me,
yeah,
that is important. So for me, if even the first time when I saw myself on the big screen, I was very happy. I was very excited. I was,
yeah.
but I can't answer the way that it should be answered, saying that, oh my God, for me it was it. It wasn't. It wasn't
Okay, it
it for me.
wasn't.
It
Oh,
was
okay.
no, no. It was, yes. It was a proud moment for me. I had achieved something. Uh, finally I had taken my first step towards my dream to become a reality.
True.
But it was, for me, it was, okay, let me analyze this. Okay, what all did I do wrong and what all did I do right? So that, because this is not going to be the end for me. This
It's
first
just the
film is not
beginning.
the end for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So
true.
this is how I look at my work. This is how I look at my.
Well, that's
You just told me. I'll tell you the funny thing. You just told me I've done 13 dramas.
well, there you go.
And while you were telling
You,
me, I
li-
started counting my dramas. I was like,
you live, you learn. So, Hareem, talking about becoming famous, the first time fans recognized you, the first time somebody came for an autograph, how did that feel?
oh, that was. I was surprised. I was very surprised. I still remember there was this girl who came to me.
Mm,
So so when we used to do theater, after the curtain call, people would come and take pictures, and it will be done, gone, okay, fine. Nobody would recognize you in public. I didn't really care about that. I didn't really know that, I was, oh, that I would get that as well, or that is supposed to be a part of the whole profession. For me, I was just, okay, I act. I want to just perfect this skill of acting and I just want to
wow.
work on it. For me, there was nothing else. It wasn't about the money. I never
You're
thought
just
about the
driven.
fame. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was just, I want to be an actor. That's it. I don't care about anything else. I remember when I did my first serial, after it got on air, I still remember I was in Dolmen, Karachi, and I was getting my groceries. I was with a friend, and this little girl comes to me, and she has a mobile phone in her hand,
Right.
and she's like, "Are you आप सजीला हैं?" मैंने कहा नहीं मैं सजीला तो नहीं हूँ. मैंने कहा okay, maybe no, she mistook me for somebody else. So
Right.
I was like, "Oh, I'm not Sajila." She's like, वो भी कंफ्यूज हो गई. उसने कहा कि आप वो ड्रामे नहीं करती हैं आप. मैंने कहा, oh my God, Sajila is the character's name.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, yes, absolutely. So she's like, can I take a picture? और फिर उसके बाद तो I was like, 2 सेकंड में शॉक में खड़ी रही हूँ. I was like, you sure you want a picture with me? And she's like, yes. So it was a very sweet moment for me, and it made me realize, how I could, अगर इसकी ये power है, media की ये power है, people come up to you and they look up to you, they're inspired by you.
True.
Imagine the change you can make. Imagine the good things you can do with it.
Oh yeah.
I think it was that particular moment I realized, even though it was just one little girl, but she made me realize this.
You had an impact. True.
Absolutely.
No, I agree. I think storytelling is one of the most powerful mediums, and
it is.
I think if you want to change the world, nothing better than storytelling. True. But Hareem, I was looking at your films, and I think I've seen all 3 of them, the ones that you've directed as well. How would you compare your acting in Dobara Phir Se, which was, I think, directed by Marine Jabbar, to the one that you produced, which is Parchi? Because in Dobara Phir Se, you're very submissive, very sort of a quiet woman who has kind of low self-esteem, whereas in Parchi, you're kind of the, exact opposite, very powerful, may I say chauvinistic woman. So, I mean, when you compare your films, how would you compare your acting in these 2 films? Did you kind of make an effort to transform from being a very quiet, feminine actor to a very strong, powerful, female character? What was your thought process?
So, obviously, I mean, if I compare both the films, they're 2 extremely different characters, and I absolutely, the extremes apart. And I feel grateful and I feel blessed that I actually got the opportunity to play such different characters, in such a short time.
That is true.
But for me, if I talk about my acting process, once I do a character, I just think about that character. That character becomes my life. And, I'm focused on that character in whatever manner. And I just go into these minute details that I feel, ye character mein honi chahiye, nahi honi chahiye. But once I've shot it, once I'm done with the character, then I detox. Then I detox from the character. Then I detox from the character and I start working on the next character.
And how do you detox, by the way, for acting?
How do I detox?
Yeah.
I just meet my friends. I meet my family. I just watch random cheesy stuff, which is brainless stuff, which has nothing to do, which is not going to have any impact on me. So I'm like, yeah, okay, so for a detox, that's great. And the moment I get a script for a new character, and if it excites me, if I like the character, the story, so I just start working on it. I just start working on it there and then. In my head, I start playing the characters, and in my head, I start thinking, so for currently, if I'm about to play a character, which I'm not right now, so but if I'm about to play a character and if I'm getting the interview, so इसमें बीच में ना छोटी चीजें certain character के लिहाज से कोई mannerisms या कुछ just to experiment with my own self. They will. I would want to do that. Because that helps me with my daily life. I won't say I'm I completely belong to the method acting process, but I think I'm somewhere in between where I want to incorporate natural acting with method acting. So there's that school of thought as well.
We could call it the Hareem method. Indeed.
Oh,
Indeed.
I wish.
So Hareem, sorry, please go ahead.
No, so then it becomes easier for me, and this training comes from theater. This is where theater helped me, because once you start rehearsing for a character, you're rehearsing for 3 months and 6 months or whatever the time period is.
Sure.
Once you're done with it, you start rehearsing for the next character, जो again 3 से 6 महीने आपके आराम से लेते हैं, तो उसमें एक process, उसी में detox होना शुरू हो जाता है, उसी में आपकी working शुरू हो जाती है character में. तो but when it comes to mainstream, आपके पास इतना time period नहीं होता, तो you have to find other ways to detox from that character. So I think this training definitely stems from theatre.
Super. So theatre is kind of your training ground as well. अच्छा ये बताइए हरीम
Absolutely.
कि the two directors of both films, दोबारा फिर says, I think it's done by Marine Jabbar. I've forgotten the name of the Parchi director. Who was the director of Parchi?
Asghar Jafri.
Asghar Jafri. So I mean, how would you compare them? Because now that you've worked with so many plays, so many films, these two directors, for example, if you take them, because you have kind of two different roles in each film, how would you compare the directors? Does a director have an impact on an actor to bring the best out of them, or it, in the end, depends solely on the actor, what they can do with the role?
I think 100%. Director has the most impact on the actor. Matlab, there is, I mean, you can do your best, you can try your best, but if the director is not on the same page with you, or if the director does not care, maximum you can do is just perform at your, I mean, then I don't know, then I wouldn't know what I'm performing, right? If there is nobody to tell me that, okay, this is how we plan to do this, or this is the vision of the film, or this is the vision, this is my vision for the character. So then you come to a middle ground and you decide, okay, chalo, theek hai, this is what I had envisioned as the character, and this is what the director has envisioned. At the end of the day, director is the captain of the ship. No matter, especially for a film, no matter what the director is leading the project, it's the director's vision which everyone else is executing, including the actors. So it's from, I'm from that school of thought where I believe director has the most impact. I believe I'm a director's actor. I can do as much research and I can do as much rehearsal as I want, but if the director is not satisfied, I won't be. I remember I used to tell, so Mehreen has this habit. So whenever we would do a shot, so cut ke baad na, she would just be like, hey, okay, cut, move on, okay. And then I used to be sitting there, I was like, hey, move on, nothing good, sab set hai. So pehle ek dafa hua, dusri dafa hua, third day I went up to Mehreen, was it Mehreen? क्या मैं बहुत बुरा कर रही हूँ? She said, no, I love it. So why are you asking me this? मैंने कहा, Mehreen, I've noticed you just don't give any remarks. She's like, अगर मैं कह रही हूँ ना, cut, move on, that means that I love it. I am satisfied. So every director has their own way. On the other hand, Asfar would cut. Hareem, जरा इधर आना एक सेकंड. Like ये जरा इस पे जरा ये देख लो, ये वाला कर लो. So both of them, I think, in comparison, Mehreen has had more experience when it comes to films or when it comes to mainstream. Asfar, on the other hand, is somebody that I've worked very closely with on multiple projects back to back. So there's a different kind of chemistry with both the directors. And I believe, and I very firmly believe that whatever director you work with, you have to respect them. First of all, and secondly, absolutely. Secondly, develop a chemistry with them, no matter what the genre is, no matter who the director is. So if you want a project to be successful and if you want that to reflect on the screen, you have to have that chemistry with the director. So luckily, I'm not going to choose. I'm not going to choose in between either two.
But just the styles of both of them, which are very quite nicely explained. But Hareem, we know you started producing before films during your theatre days. I think your first production was for a theatre play, and you then obviously you co-produced Janan, followed by Parchi and Heed Manja, and it's been very successful for you as well, being a producer. So the question is. I want to go back to your theatre days. What kind of inspired you to become a producer at such an early age?
So, and I realized this right now at where I stand in life. That is where I realized what happened to me, why I started producing during theatre days, not the movies. मुझे हमेशा लगता था people would say कि ये भी change करना है, वो भी change करना है, ये change होना चाहिए, वो change होना चाहिए, and I would not see anyone doing something for that change.
Right,
मुझे समझ नहीं आती थी कि क्या कि if I say कि हाँ theatre में ये ऐसा भी play होना चाहिए, वैसा भी play होना चाहिए, तो अगर सिर्फ मेरे बोलने से impact होता या मेरे बोलने से कोई कर लेता होता तो क्या बात थी. तो मेरे बोलने से कोई कर नहीं रहा था, सिर्फ बोलने से कुछ हो नहीं रहा था. तो
Okay.
उस टाइम पे आई थिंक उस टाइम पे सबकॉन्शियसली आई थॉट यू नो मे बी becoming a producer or doing you know or developing a play that I would want to see that I would want the audience to see,
जी.
that is something that gives me power to change. That is something that gives me power to bring a change. So
Right.
I think उस टाइम पे, क्योंकि अगर अगर मुझसे उस टाइम पे पूछा जाता है कि आपने प्रोडक्शन क्यों शुरू की, तो मैंने लिटरली मेरा जवाब ये होता था, बिकॉज आई वांटेड टू, बिकॉज आई वांट टू सी, आई वांट टू नो व्हाट इट इज. But now when I go back, I realize that this is the kind of person I am. I am the person who says, you know, be the change that you want to see. Don't just sit here and complain and be like, ye nahi ho raha, wo nahi ho. Drawing room discussions are great, yes, amazing. But unless or until you're not going to get up and, you know, be ready for that, be ready for that struggle, be ready for that, the whole thing, that you be ready for the consequences of bringing about a change, then you cannot just sit here and say, let's change. So the change nahi ho raha.
Yeah.
So for me, I think even becoming a producer later on, becoming a mainstream producer, also had the same reasoning behind it. I was like, hey, yeah, you know what? Let's just get up and do it. Let's just get up and do it. Let's bring about that change. कितनी कब तक हमने बैठ के बस यही कहते रहना कि जी change नहीं आ रहा.
So basically,
करना
the
क्या
reason
है?
you became a producer was because you had this go-get attitude that, you know, I want a few things to be done in a certain way. So you realize कोई करेगा नहीं तो मैं खुद करूँगी, basically.
हाँ, मतलब हाँ, this is very simple सी बात है. And you know, then there was another thought behind it as well. I remember when I started acting, तो मुझे पहली चीज ज़हन में ये थी कि, you know, कि unfortunately एक्टर की शेल्फ लाइफ बहुत कम होती है, एक
अच्छा.
certain point तक होती है. मेरे लिए this is something that I would want to do till I die.
Wow.
This has to be, this profession is something that I'm here to stay. I'm not just starting I'm not starting it as a hobby. If it excites me so much, and you know, my parents support me, my family support me, so let's just do it till the end. Why just, you know, stick to the fact that, you know, after I'm 40 or after I'm 50, I'll be just done with acting. Okay, I'll be done with acting. But I want to give other people, you know, I want to give a chance to new people, because ठीक है, मैं एक्टर बनने आई थी इस प्रोफेशन में, लेकिन जब मैं एक्टर बनने, जब मैंने एक प्रोफेशन अपनाया, तो वही प्रोफेशन जो है, that becomes everything for me. I feel responsible for that profession कि हाँ, मुझे इसको अच्छा भी, इसकी अच्छाई को भी एक्सेप्ट करना है, और मुझे इसकी बुराई को भी एक्सेप्ट करना है. And if there is something that I do not like about this profession, I will stand up and I will want to bring about that change.
Wow.
And if this is something that I am so happily doing it, I'm pretty sure there are multiple people out there who want to do it, and within this country, why not give them a chance as well? You know, why just have everything for your own self?
So
Okay, you know, this is
basically,
मुझे ही करना है.
you want to bring about change, and that's why you became a producer. I think that's very,
Mostly.
very, 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 very impressive. Well done. I think because you have to understand that you're saying all these things when you're in your very early 20s. So you are a visionary, I think. Well done on that. But Hareem, ये बताइए कि आप the films that you produce, which is I think Parchi, Janan, and I think the third one was Heel Manja. Did you also personally invest your money into those films as well, or you just produced them without being a executive producer?
No, absolutely, I did. I remember as much as I had, I just invested. I was like, this is it. Let's do it.
Actually,
Let's
you
do
did.
it. You know,
Wow.
I did. Absolutely. There was, in fact, a lot of credit for my production, you know, for me being called a producer and a successful producer, also goes to my business partner, my best friend Imran Razak Azmi. He is the one who, you know, who said, you know, why don't you partner up with me? Why don't you, let's be partners? And I was like, huh? You know, why not? Because this was something that I had planned 10 years later. But you're asking me 10 years before. Why not? I didn't see a why not. So I was like, "Acha, theek hai, sahi hai, okay, let's do it." And that man has been my support, my mentor, and he's taught me a lot because he started production way before me.
So
he did absolutely. So उसके साथ ये था कि यार अभी जब अब now that I've partnered up with you, change भी लाना है हमें, we're like-minded people, तो जो है लगा दो.
Wow.
जो है लगा दो. वो वाला सिस्टम था. हाँ. तो हमारे पास जो था हमने लगा दिया. हमने कहा कि बस ठीक है, सही है. हमें नहीं पता सक्सेसफुल और नॉट सक्सेसफुल. हमें ये पता है कि हाँ, we're aiming for success. हाँ, we're aiming for success. नहीं होता, अल्लाह की बेहतरी होगी उसमें, कोई मसला नहीं है. हो जाता है ये amazing. But you know, when you again, I believe I'm a very passionate person. When I start something, to make it, you know, go all the way, be your best, and put in all your effort, your blood, sweat, soul. Just give it to that thing. Just give it to that work. क्योंकि उसके बगैर आप उसके and you will face hardships, you will face failures as well. बट लेकिन जब आप इतने प्यार से कोई चीज कर रहे होते हैं ना, फुल दिल जान से कर रहे होते हैं, तो वो फेलियर भी आप कहते हैं कि ठीक है, सही है, छोटा ही है, अभी ये एक ही है, इससे वापस उठते हैं, इससे बेहतर होगा.
You learn from failures. True.
Absolutely, 100%.
Hareem, the first film you produced or co-produced was Janan, if I'm not wrong. What was the feeling like when you invested in your first film, produced it, and then you're waiting for it to be released? So what is that feeling like? Is it going to be a box office, or is you know, if it's going to flop? How do you describe that feeling as a producer?
Ooh, nerve-wracking. It is. You know, I'll be honest. It definitely makes us very nervous right before the premiere, and you know, right before it's about to release. But you know, you have this faith that says कि अच्छा ठीक है, it doesn't matter. हो गई, हमने बनाई, मेहनत से बनाई, hit, flop, कोई मसला नहीं. एक achievement है, because Pakistan, I mean, all around the world, but specifically in Pakistan, it is so difficult to make a film. It is so difficult to make a film that I can't even describe in words how difficult it is, because again,
how is it difficult? Like, are you saying as a woman being in a man's world, or like generally it's difficult?
Oh no, it's generally it is. It's not just, it doesn't have much to do with gender.
Oh,
but
right.
Since you know our cinema died decades ago. So you know, I don't call it the revival of cinema. I call it the rebirth of cinema. Okay. And you know, we were still in those teething stages, and you know, you know how a child eventually grows up and you have to groom that child, and obviously it takes a lot of effort. अगर एक इंडस्ट्री बनी हुई हो, उसमें फिल्म बनाना कदरे आसान होता है. It's comparatively easier to make a film. But when you have to work on building an industry, that takes a lot from you in every way possible. So it is the most difficult thing that you have to do in Pakistan is make a film. We have a lack of resources. We're out of we're out of experience as far as films are concerned, because again, it died decades ago. So you have to start everything from scratch. And you know, फिल्म का इतना कल्चर नहीं था, इतना कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं था, तो आपको समझाना भी पड़ता था लोगों को कि नहीं ये है, you know, put faith in us, we can do this. So it takes a lot from me. But again, जब वही रिलीज वाली बात होती थी, तो फिर ये होता था, at the end of the day, यही आप अप्रोच रख सकते हैं कि you know, see, if I bank everything on one film to be a success, and if it's not, so I will probably give up. I will probably give up because it'll hurt me really bad.
True.
Absolutely, I will definitely be discouraged. But so I have to keep that faith. I have to maintain that faith कि चलो ठीक है, hit or flop doesn't matter. बन गई, अगली की बात करो, अगली क्या बनाना है, अगला प्रोजेक्ट क्या, let's talk about that. क्योंकि आप for me it's always के हो गया, okay, move on, let's go. It's I hate wasting time. I'm like, no, let's just move on. I cannot sit here and gossip about or complain about कि जी ये ठीक नहीं था, तो वो ठीक नहीं था. हाँ जी, पता है, ये एनालिसिस था, ये ठीक नहीं है, these were the mistakes, learn from it, move on. What's the next thing? What is the next project that we're talking about? So it's, for me, it's like that. But at the same time, you know, right before the moment the movie is about to go on air and you're on that red carpet, and उससे पहले इतनी चीज, it is. I think you're like, I remember Janan ke time pe when it was about to release, I was a complete, I became so aloof and I became so indifferent. Everyone was like, hey, सब ठीक है, सब खैरियत, and I'm like, सब ठीक है, good यार, अच्छा, wow. So I became that person. And once it released, I mean, obviously the fruit was, it was beautiful. I mean, it was delicious, because the change that we wanted to bring through Janan resonated. Yeah, it resonated with the audience. So the aim that we had, what we wanted to bring through our films, it worked. So that's the biggest achievement that you can ask for.
True, true. So Harim, tell me, if someone watching it right now wants to be a producer, how can, I mean, what can a young producer do to minimize their loss? Any advice for that?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, have the lowest of expectations.
Acha. Okay.
Have the lowest of expectations from what you're making, because you have to be a realist at the same time as well. You need to know
Yeah.
that these are the dynamics, and this is how this is how the things work. At the same time, to minimize your loss, just try to maintain a budget. Study the market. It's very important to study the market. Unless until yes, I understand when we talk about film, we talk big, we talk about fantasy, we talk about dreams. But you have to realize that if you are talking about film in Pakistan, you really need to study the market, be it anywhere in the world. I mean, as an entrepreneur, I'd say the first thing you
What
should
with
do
that?
is study the market.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you would be able to understand whether you want to make what kind of film you want to make. Then it is only then you'll be able to understand. Then you'll be able to understand कि what kind of budgets do I want to have.
True,
अगर
true.
तो मुझे एक फिल्म बनानी है कि I don't care यार what the market is. I don't care how many screens we have or how many cinemas we have. I just want to make a film which is completely out of this world. Great, go for it. If you can afford it and if you can manage to do it, go for it. But if you're here to make one film, don't. My suggestion would be
No.
don't. Yeah, because you know what's the point? I mean, this is my perception. What's the point if I'm not going to be consistent with my work? How am I going to achieve something? How am I going to make it big? How am I going to be successful at it? If I'm just going to be a one off, अगर मैं कहती कि यार मुझे सिर्फ जानान एक प्रोड्यूस करनी है, बस प्रोड्यूसर का टैग चाहिए मुझे,
हाँ,
प्रोड्यूसर का
हाँ,
टैग तो मिल गया, तो
बिल्कुल।
बाकी तो फिल्में हो जाएंगी, कर ले कोई भी कर ले, मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ता है. तो लेकिन I do that struggle, I go through that because I want to be consistent. क्योंकि
Yeah,
unless or until consistency नहीं आएगी, इंडस्ट्री नहीं बनेगी.
this
आप
is
वन ऑफ से तो कोई भी इंडस्ट्री नहीं बना सकते हैं. तो
that's very
इतना, हाँ, that the advice I'll give to a new young producer, for anyone who's watching, just be very mindful of what you want to make, and in what budget you want to make it, and be very sure whether you want to be consistent or you just want to be a one-off.
one off.
Just be
Very
very sure of that. Yeah.
nice advice. But Harim, ये बताइए कि obviously being a producer is one thing, but being a female producer in Pakistan, and that too at a very young age, and that too being very pretty, did you come across any kind of male, attitudes like patriarchy? Did you come across men, so-called strong men, trying to, look down upon you? How did you handle the so-called uh, Pakistani patriarchy system in the film industry? I don't think it's as strong as it used to be back in the Molaja days. But ये बताइए कि as a young pretty girl, आप कैसे handle किया आपने सारा कुछ in the film industry being a producer?
Acha, I have this problem again, as I said, to move on, next project, move on, next project. So when I'm focused on something, these things don't matter to me. I don't take them into consideration.
Okay,
I don't
all right.
take patriarchy into consideration. I don't take gender into consideration.
अच्छा, okay.
Mere samne, I don't care if there's a man sitting in front of me or there's a woman sitting in front of me. If it's about work and I have to, I am agenda driven and I know that this is what we need to focus on, then I know very well that theek hai, I don't care, man or woman, let's talk business. Let's talk work.
I like
Okay,
that.
don't give me that. Yeah, for me it's like, don't give me that gender thing. Just really don't give me that. All these years, the other day I was laughing and I was sitting with my dad. I was like, it feels like all these years you've been preparing me and my sister for patriarchy.
Really?
Literally, because initially, yes, I was surprised. There would be times where they would just not take me seriously. उसके ऊपर सोने पे सुहागा, they'd be like, कि एक तो हाँ जी, you're pretty, just be pretty. Just be pretty. I would get that vibe. Yeah, I would just get that vibe. And then they'll be like, Sone Pe Suhaga, I was an actress. Just be a pretty actress. Don't get into this business thing.
Amazing.
Don't do that. And I'll be like, nobody said it to my face, but I would get that vibe from them. And I'll be like, so there are times when you're sitting in a certain setting and you have all these men around you, and these business tycoons and whatnot, and with big
Yeah.
egos, and there you're sitting and you're like, you know what? Okay, I cannot be a pretty face. I cannot just be a pretty face. I cannot just be an actress. Take me seriously. How about let's talk about this. Let's talk about knowledge. Let's talk about work. Let's not talk about anything else.
Wow.
I'm not here to gossip with you. I'm not here to, hang out with you. I'm here to work. So for that, I really need to know my work. I really need to know my strengths. I really need to know my weaknesses. I need to have solid knowledge about what I do. If I need to shut those people up who believe that
And
only
you did.
they
And you
can do it.
indeed. Indeed.
But
Hareem, talking about patriarchy, recently there have been a lot of Aurat marches going on in Lahore and Karachi and across Pakistan. Obviously, I'm sure you support it, but what do you think of Aurat March, and what do you think of women in general in Pakistan? Your views about having some kind of an equality in the society. आपका उसके बारे में क्या ख्याल है?
I personally think, finally it was time that women got up, and, and I'm glad that we're united at a certain front where we all think, no matter where you belong to, you have the same mindset. This is what we want, and these are our rights. Give us our rights. That's the easiest thing we're asking for, right?
True.
There are few, definitely there are a few feminist views that I might not completely agree with. But
Wow.
one thing that I do absolutely agree with, and I'm talking about extreme feminist views. I'm not talking about the basic feminist views, because for me, feminism, absolutely, for me, feminism is all about equality. It is. It's not about that. Oh my God, I am better than a man, or a man is better than me. It's not about that. It is definitely about equality. There's nothing more to it. It's about equality for any gender. It's about equality for children, for women, for anyone who's suppressed. It's about that. Feminism for me is about that. It's not just, oh my God, I'm going to kill all those men. It bothers me a lot that a lot of people misunderstand feminism. A lot of men misunderstand feminism. They think that they think oh my God, ये तो बेशर्मी है जी कि बाहर निकल आए, and it's not right कि आप मर्द को गलत कह रहे हैं. हम मर्द को गलत नहीं कहते. Feminism does not say that a man is wrong. Feminism says anybody who does wrong is wrong. Accept it.
True.
Realize the rights for other people. Realize the value of other people in this world. It's about basic humanity. It's about basic human rights that we talk about.
It is.
कि आप इस पे ये नहीं कह सकते कि कोई ये गलत है या कोई एक सही है. फॉर मी फेमिनिज्म में वही गलत है जो जुल्म कर रहा है, जो गलत कर रहा है वो गलत है. वो औरत हो वो मर्द हो, doesn't matter. गलत जो कर रहा है, जो जुल्म कर रहा है वो गलत है.
And it's important to go out and basically support it. So well done on that. Hareem, moving on to your films. Being a producer, now I'll just go on the technical side of things, because I've never really had an opportunity to talk to a producer in Pakistan. You're probably the first producer I'm talking to right now. So tell me, which part of the production process do you like more? Is it the pre-production where you sit, where you do all the script, the storyboard and the planning, or the actual production where everyone is there and the whole shoot is going on? Or do you more enjoy the post-production where you have editing, color grading, and all sorts of different things that you can add to a film afterwards? Which of these three areas do you really enjoy the most?
So starting from pre till the end of the shoot, that's my most favorite part.
Oh, is it?
Post is like something that, I'll be honest, I run away from. So
right. Okay.
और हर दफा इमरान is वो ज्यादातर पोस्ट पे वो इन्वॉल्व होता है, क्योंकि उसको पता है कि मैं I'm like, इमरान पता है क्या, ये मैं बार बार नहीं देख सकती. I'm like, because when you're editing,
right?
it does eventually. Obviously I have to be a part of that process, but every day being a part of that process is like, नहीं, ये रोज ये बड़ी हिम्मत है एडिटर की, ये बड़ी हिम्मत है कलर ग्रेडर्स, ये टेक्निकल लोगों की जो बार बार देख रहे हैं जी ठीक है सही है गुड. Pre or shoot जो है, that is something which is for me, which is very happening. It's very happening. There's a lot happening, and one thing after the other is going on, and you're always busy and you're up to something, and or khas taur pe on shoot, you have to be very sharp. You have to be just be on your toes, and just everything has the energy is really great. I love the energy that there is on shoot and in the pre-production. For me, that these two phases are the favorite one. Post, yes, I can definitely avoid it.
Okay.
I can.
Well done. Well done. Talking about sort of like technical part of filmmaking. Aapko as a producer now and someone who's been in the industry for almost so many years, worked in plays and theatre and films. Aapko technically, do you know how to handle film camera, or can you do color grading on let's say DaVinci Resolve? Have you ever tried these things hands-on, or you've just stayed behind it and just asked people to do it for you?
I stayed behind it, I'll be honest. Mera acha ek aur mantra hai na, I'll be like, learn one thing at a time, get really good at it, perfect your skill, then move on to the other one. So for me, it was, let me just learn the process of production that there is first. Let me be good at that. And then we get into the technicalities. And then we talk about, so these are the softwares. Hanji, teach me how to use this software. Something that rather than, being just being all over the place, or just to say that, I know everything. I can do everything. Tell me this, I will do it for you. I can't. I'll be honest, I can't. Because yes, you want me to bring a project together? I can. I absolutely can. You want me to execute that project? Definitely.
So when your director or the DOP comes to you and says, "Hi, Hareem, we can either go for a red camera or Arri Alexa," what would you say?
Uske basic knowledge, yes, definitely.
Achha.
Again, as I said, that's a part of the production. That is. But I cannot go up to the DOP and tell him कि यार ये रेड है ना, ये Alexa तुमने अच्छा ये ठीक यूज नहीं करी, इसका एंगल ना जरा यहाँ पे कर दो. No, that's not my job. That's the DOP's job. He knows this better. He's been doing it for years. What I can help him with कि let's decide कि which one we need. अच्छा, इस कैमरा के रिजल्ट ये होता है, इसके ये आपको इसके ये प्रोज है, इसके ये कौन से. So we go according to that. I can't be operating the camera for him. I can't do that. Not right now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in 10 years when you interview me again and I tell you, and guess what? So I'm operating the camera as well now.
Interesting. So you basically like the pre-part and the shoot part. And tell me about then, talking about the pre-part, pre-production. How do you select scripts, number one, for your acting roles? When, for example, I'm sure every month, every week, people would send you scripts for a TV or a drama or a film. And now, number one, I'm talking about from two different angles. Number one, choosing a script as an actor for you to act in it, and then number two is choosing a script as a producer. So, आप ये कैसे करती हैं? How do you decide? कि यार, do you, some people that I've known, they read the whole script and then they make a decision. Others I've known, they tell me, I just read the first 5 pages and I'm done with it. I either do it or I don't. आपका क्या process है?
For me, it's the character. Acting wise, the first thing that excites me is the character itself. फिर उसके बाद मैं कहती हूँ कि अच्छा ठीक है, send me the script. I want to read the script. क्योंकि the character that you're explaining to me is very interesting. Now send me the script. Then I will read the whole script. If I feel, the character is really nice, but the script is weak, then I will let go of it. But I mean, if it's my luck and, I find a great character and a great script, yay. As far as production is concerned, so there are multiple things that we have to keep in mind. And again, it's not a decision that I take solely. It's something that, yes, and I believe in discussions. It's something that we decide. This is something that we decide together. Right. There's certain things that we believe in. For us, it's very important to realize first of all the importance of cinema for this country, for any country. And for any country's image. Secondly, we need to realize that the cinema going culture in Pakistan had died. It wasn't just the cinema going culture had died as well. People were willing to pay lots, 500 rupees to go watch Shah Rukh Khan or Salman Khan or Katrina's. they were not but they were still not willing to go and watch any other film or any other Pakistani film. So what do you do that would bring people to cinemas, bring that would bring back that culture of going to cinemas?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to have certain things in mind. You have to have a certain criteria कि हाँ ठीक है यार, let's make a film, ठीक है, which is not a completely brainless commercial product, ठीक है. It has its own messages and it has our own intelligence involved with, but at the same time it's going to intrigue the audience because
True.
it has to.
It
Because
has.
otherwise, if it's not going to do that, then they're not going to come watch the film. If they're not going to come watch the film, I won't get my box office. If
There
I'm
has to
not
be
going to get my
something
box
else.
office, yeah,
Right.
if I'm not going to get my box office, I can't make my next film. I
Exactly.
can't do it,
True.
right? So we have to keep all those things in mind. At the same time, हमें ये भी होता है कि यार completely आपने एक commercial nonsense नहीं बनानी है. We're not from that school of thought. So we always integrate our own, our own intelligence in whatever way possible, and it has always worked for us. We feel there's always a social responsibility. As a producer, I feel social responsibility ज़्यादा आ जाती है आप में. So there are more things that you need to be mindful about. As an actor, while choosing a script, I believe कि मैं कभी-कभी वो ये भी होता है कि ठीक है, I really don't care. मैं कहती हूँ कि हाँ जी ठीक है. Not in terms of social responsibility, but in terms of other things. कि नहीं, this character itself कि हाँ ठीक है जी, great है, let's do it. But when I talk about being a producer, तो मेरी social responsibility जो as an actor मैं कहती हूँ कि 90% है, वो as a producer 200% हो जाती है.
Fascinating.
तो for me, हाँ, तो from making a commercial film to adding our own messages and our own social responsibility into it, it's a very long process, and we go through it for months,
For
and
months.
then we decide upon it. Absolutely, then we decide upon कि अच्छा जी, this is the genre that we're going to do, or this is the subject that we're going to make a film on.
Fascinating, fascinating. Acha, uske par, just had one follow-up question, which I just popped to my mind, that once the film is finished and ready to be released, usme marketing as a producer, do you also have your say in the marketing of the movie, or is this you can hand it over to someone else and they do it for you?
No, 100%, 100%. We
Acha,
start
you do.
planning the market. Oh yes, we start planning the marketing from the day we start conceiving a film.
Oh wow. Acha.
Yeah, because again, as I said earlier, our purpose is to get audience back to the cinema. So you need to have a whole plan with you. In fact, so the moment we sit and talk about a film, we start talking about the marketing as well. We start talking about the marketing aspects as well,
That's good.
because that marketing plays a huge role in bringing people
Oh yes.
to cinemas, right? So we have to think. We can't. For us, it's not like we make a film and then we think about how we're going to market it and what all we're going to do. For us, it's like okay, let's start. Okay, this is the subject that we're going to do. This is the film. Okay. Oh, interesting. This could be used in the marketing element as well. Oh, maybe that could be used for the marketing element as well. Great. मतलब ये नहीं होता कि आप मार्केटिंग को जहन में रखते ही वही फिल्म बनाते हैं. Rather कि आप फिल्म बनाते हैं लेकिन मार्केटिंग को जहन में रखते हैं. I think that's important. At least what me or my partner or my production house, that is how we feel, and and it has always worked for us. In fact, if nothing else, I remember I can say that it set a trend.
That's
I
a
remember we
really.
started from we started from Janan, and before that nobody was doing such aggressive marketing.
Oh, right.
Nobody did. Nobody invested so much in marketing. We were the first ones who said कि यहाँ पे भी जाएंगे, ये भी करेंगे, वो भी करेंगे, जाना आ रही है, देखें.
I
So
know.
we were
I have to say, uski bahut amazing marketing हुई थी. I think it was a match going on in London. I was watching it, and in the middle of a match, all of a sudden, Janan ka ad aa gaya. And I was like, wow, whoever is marketing this film is doing a great job. I didn't know it was you.
So yeah, it's a whole team, and Imran specifically, he is very good with marketing. So his brain works really well with marketing. So वो मिलके एक plan बनाया जाता है और उस पे आप कहते हैं कि why not promote our film? करेंगे यार, हम तो promote करें, आप देखने आओ.
Yeah, of course. Hareem, ये बताएं कि, I mean, obviously you're a success story, and here you are, with a bright career ahead of you. I mean, you seem to be enjoying pretty much everything that comes your way, which means you're a very positive and a great person. And obviously life has been fairly, kind to you as well. But the thing is, What has been one single biggest challenge that you have faced so far to be where you are right now? Just one single challenge.
There hasn't been one single challenge. There has been multiple.
Or
There have
multiple.
been multiple.
Can you just
I
keep it?
cannot. There have been so many. I mean, starting from the day I decided to become an actor, me being 103 kgs, I decided, Kiji, yes,
Okay.
I want to be a mainstream actress. First challenge.
Nice.
Second challenge, starting mainstream and being bashed or being body shamed at a larger scale.
Yeah.
Large. I mean, before that, I didn't even know that it mattered. I didn't know. For me, it was, yeah, you have to be. You just have to be. You just have to be your best. You just have to look your best, and that's about it. It's not about weight or anything. That got to me, and I was like, okay, interesting. I never knew that this existed at such a huge level.
Wow. Wow.
After that, since I am the sort who believes in breaking stereotypes, I can't be contained into one mold ke yeah ji, this is it, ke if I want to be a mainstream heroine to bas mujhe isi tarah ka rehna hai, aise बैठना है, ऐसे से बात नहीं, मुझे ऐसे ही करनी है. I can't do that. I really can't do that because that's not me. मुझे मेनस्ट्रीम एक्ट्रेस भी बनना था, मुझे हीरोइन भी बनना था, और मुझे एंटरप्रेन्योर भी बनना था, मुझे चेंज भी लाना था. तो उसके लिए दैट रिक्वायर्स अ लॉट ऑफ एफर्ट and that requires filtering out a lot of things that people have to say, a lot of things. So when after theater, when I started mainstream, after the body shaming thing, the whole thing happened, then came my character that I played in Diyare Dil. And I remember people started saying that, this is a career suicide. This is a career suicide. You're done. You're gone. Honey, I mean, you're in your early 20s and you're playing a 40-year-old. बस अब तो तुम typecast हो जाओगी. मुझे बड़ी आग लगी, मुझे गुस्सा चढ़ा. मैंने कहा क्यों typecast हो जाऊंगी? I don't believe in that. I know myself. I don't think I will be typecasted. Okay, ji, done. Okay, they're done with the Dil. Right after the Dil, I decided to become a producer. I still remember three specific calls that I got, and they said that, "What are you doing? Do you not want to be successful? Do you not want to make a name? I mean, look at all your contemporaries. Look at all the others. Look at the ones who've been successful than you. उन्होंने तो ये path नहीं लिया. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to prove?" And I very simply told them, and I was like, I am not trying to prove anything. I'm not. This is something that I believe I can do, and I am going to do it.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're telling me that I shouldn't is just making me
More
more determined. Okay, yes, honey, no, I'm going to do it. One of the most bizarre things that I heard was like, don't become a producer. You're going to, oh my, no. It was like, oh my God, you're becoming a producer. ग्लैम फैक्टर खत्म हो जाएगा. मैंने कहा ये ग्लैम फैक्टर होता क्या है? What is this glam factor that you're talking about? मैंने कहा I really don't believe in these things. So and then when I became a producer, then there were other would hardly.
Sorry.
Honey, sorry, what happened? So there were other kind of challenges where people would not take me seriously, and you'll be like, So you have to have a lot of patience. You have to have a lot of patience and a lot of faith in yourself and in God. This is what I believe.
True.
Because if I know I'm doing it with pure intentions and all honesty that I have in me, and I know I can do it because God made me believe I could do it. So I'm gonna put my faith in Him rather than them, and let's just see where I go.
No, you've done tremendously well. ये बताएं Hareem कि moving on to films apart from your films, which films have really inspired you the most as a consumer? For example, Abhi, you became an actor when you're, let's say, early 20s, but let's say before that, maybe a couple of Hollywood films and a couple of Lolly and Bollywood films. Which films are your like top 5 films? Yeah, ye to kamal filmein thi. I still love them. I can watch them any day.
So for me, at the top of my head, there's Moulin Rouge.
Oh yeah. The music.
That was my that was my very first
The visual.
film that I was like, oh, visually it's still by far this till this day it's one of my most favorite
The one
visually
that Baz
favorite
done.
films.
Yeah.
It was it for me, and I was like, oh my god, ये भी हो सकता है. This is
Lebu ko sheka sa-
wow.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Then उसके बाद उसके बाद बहुत सारी फिल्म्स हैं जो मैं कहती हूँ कि हाँ I loved and I got inspired from. But if I talk, when somebody asks me about कि वो कौन सी ऐसी फिल्म थी जिस पे इंस्पायर किया या मेरी वो आंखें चमक गई, that was Moulin Rouge. For me that was
Sure.
Moulin Rouge till the end, because even till this day when I watch it I'm like,
And
this is it, have to make it.
Indian or Pakistani film that you could pick one and you would say, yeah, this is also one Desi film I really love as well. कोई है ऐसी आपके ज़हन में?
Also, if you ask me about the current lot, Lal Kabutar was one film that I really liked.
I haven't seen it.
I really liked.
Is it nice?
You should absolutely, you should watch it. It's really nice. It's really good. It was a pleasant surprise, and I loved it. वो एक film जिसने that gauged my attention from the very start till the end. So I was like, that's great, and great acting, and everything about it was wonderful. Great direction. Indian, there are multiple examples. I mean, because again, their cinema is like a century old, and they have multiple examples to quote from. I remember, again, it's थोड़ी cheesy है, लेकिन मैं क्या करूँ, मुझे बतानी पड़ती हैं ये चीजें. One film that I remember was हम दिल दे चुके सनम. That film.
Yeah.
For some odd reason, I mean, I've been a huge fan of Sanjay Leela Bhansali. I've always been a huge fan of his work. So, but Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam, I mean, story-wise, character-wise, everything, the colors, the beauty, the chemistry, it just gets to me. Yeah, it literally just gets to me till this day. True. At the same time, there's so many other films that might not be, they're not just visual treats. They also have a lot of story to them, like Omkara being one of them. Omkara at the top of my head right now. It's like absolutely, and इस तरह का भी cinema. For me, हर किस्म का cinema, कोई भी मुझे और मेरा एक और मुझे याद नहीं रहता, मुझे scenes याद रहते हैं, मुझे moments याद रहते हैं. ये जो 3 films मैंने बताएंगे, ये वो जहाँ मुझे याद है, ये मुझे पूरी याद है. So anything that that really impresses me or just hits hard. So it's like ठीक है यार, डन, ये है, ये करना है, इस तरह का होना चाहिए, इसका फॉर्मूला बनाना है, इस तरह इस चीज को एग्जीक्यूट करना है. तो that is how I get my inspiration.
Superb. Actually, Hareem, I've noticed you sort of invariably constantly talk about the Pakistani industry. You say that one should not just think about one film, you should also think about the whole industry. And talking about the industry, in your opinion, which have we been successful in portraying a soft, good image of Pakistan with our recent films? And which areas do you think our industry is lagging behind? Is it scripts? Is it directors? Or is it the technical facilities? Where do you think the industry of Pakistan, the film industry, is lagging behind?
I'm just going to tell you an incident before I answer this. I remember we were promoting Dobara Phir Se, and we went to this university. And there was one of the members of the faculty, they got up and they're like, ये जो आप फिल्म बना रहे हैं, आपको क्या लगता है कि पाकिस्तान का इसमें कोई मैसेज तो है नहीं, तो ये पाकिस्तान का इमेज किस तरह ठीक करेगा? तो मैंने बड़ा प्यार से उनको, मैंने एक बात बोली थी, मैंने एक बड़ा प्यार से उनको जवाब दिया. मैंने कहा, सर, विद ऑल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, सालों तक पाकिस्तान से कोई फिल्म नहीं गई थी. The world considered Pakistan a terrorist country with extremism at its peak. True. The fact that there is a movie going out of Pakistan, that people get to see Pakistani cinema in whatever form, is itself a definition of what I say. Absolutely. I would say it's a big success. It is. Because I know how difficult it is to make films over here. As a producer, I know what all these, anyone who's attached to filmmaking is going through. I really know. So I'd say I'm not much of a I don't criticize a lot कि नहीं जी ये अच्छी फिल्म नहीं थी तो वो अच्छी फिल्म नहीं, मुझे पता है यार जिस मेहनत से उन्होंने बनाई है ठीक है, everybody has their own vision, everybody's trying, everybody's learning on the field, that's the thing. Having said that, yes, there are a lot of technical places we fall short in. Writing, we do. I mean, writers, सबसे बड़ा हमारा सबसे बड़ा dilemma इस वक्त writing का, screenplay writers हमारे, क्योंकि again institutes नहीं थे film making के, अगर film industry नहीं थी तो institutes भी नहीं थे. तो where आपके writers film making का तो एक proper formula होता है how you write. तो जिसने भी जो भी कर रहा है वो अपनी self learning पे चल रहा है, मतलब self teaching पे चल रहा है, right? Now, हाँ, finally, now that over the past few years, कि लोगों ने देखा है कि okay, अच्छा ठीक है, some the cinema is reviving and it's coming back, and finally maybe yes, the future is bright. Now we have started introducing media studies. Now I get to see a lot of young people, a lot of students coming back to Pakistan after studying filmmaking abroad. Saying that we want to invest in this market, we want to give back to our country. So I think it's a great thing that finally people have started building their faith in this country and its cinema. It had to start from somewhere. It finally did start from somewhere, but again we still have a long way to go, but that does not mean that we can't do it. We're doing it. We're trying our level best to achieve that level. So inshallah very soon, I think let's see very soon. अभी तो फिलहाल खैर जो मैं हालात दुनिया के देख रही हूँ, everyone is moving towards digital right now. So that itself is another debate. Yeah. So let's see, inshallah. Hopefully things will be better.
अच्छा हरीम, ये बताइए कि if all the female producers watching you or aspiring female producers, especially the young ones, what advice, or even the male ones, but the young ones, what advice would you give them before they enter the film industry?
Be very honest to yourself. Sure. Be very honest to yourself. Be very clear of what you want from this industry. Have the purest of intentions. Just have the purest of intentions. Have faith. Okay. Believe in yourself and have faith. There's no other way you will be able to do it if you don't have faith and if you're not honest to yourself. That's very important. And one thing that I really, really want to tell, I mean, give advice to the younger lot, be ready for hard work. Achha. Be ready for it. I mean, it's very easy to become an overnight sensation these days, but you just remain an overnight sensation then. Through TikToks and all these dub smashes and all these whatever technology there is, use it to your advantage, but aim higher. Aim way higher and be ready to work hard, be ready to have sleepless nights and be ready to give it all. If you want to achieve that level of success, where you sit and you'll be like, what, yeah, this is nice, I've made a change, I've helped people, and I've helped myself. If you want to sit there and feel like that and be content, be honest to yourself and be ready to work hard.
Honesty is the best policy, true. Achha, Hareem, ye bataiye, coming towards the very end, being a citizen of Pakistan now, what do you think of Imran Khan, our legendary prime minister? We all love him. He's a great, he's been a great inspiring figure ever since he's been playing cricket to now his politics. But what do you think of him now as the prime minister?
As much as I don't get into political questions, it's something that I understand that there are a lot of people who feel disappointed. There are a lot of people who do feel disappointed that maybe he fell short in some certain things. But then again, give credit where it's due. I think before Imran Khan, probably Bhutto was the only one who was able to provoke the youth politically, who was able to do that, who was able to create that political awareness amongst the youth. And at the same time, build a very positive and a very soft image internationally, which was much needed. I think which was much needed for this country, especially if you look at longer term. It was much needed to have a prime minister who would portray a softer image and who was loved by many all over the world. I still hope, and I still have my faith, and I still hope that, whatever they're planning to do, they do it better. Because yes, they're absolutely working on it, and that they're working with all their heart and soul. But I think I think let's give them a bit more time. Let's do that. Let's do
True.
that, and at the same time work on ourselves as well.
Of course, of course. But then, as a producer, what would you advise Imran Khan on the film industry of Pakistan? If he were to ask you, Hareem, come on, sit with me and give me some advice, what would you tell him?
Take it very seriously. Take it seriously. You need to consider. It's high time that we realize the value of cinema. It's high time we realize the value of media in terms of your economy and in terms of your country's image. And because if you look all around the world, anyone, you look at Hollywood, you look at Bollywood, you look at all these countries, they have worked on their image through their cinema worldwide. I mean, if you talk about the international map, हम बहुत कम उसमें आते हैं, बहुत गलत लाइट में आते हैं. अब फाइनली थोड़ा सिनेमा बाहर जाना शुरू हुआ, तो हाँ, people feel कि okay, Pakistan is not just a terrorist country, thankfully. This is what people feel. But within our own country, I think if I was to advise Prime Minister, if I was to advise the Prime Minister, I would say, you know what, it's high time you take it seriously. It's high time you understand the value of media, you understand the value of artists, and you understand the value of art and culture within a society.
Yeah.
The importance it has. जब आपकी society में से art and culture और literature चला जाता है, तो violence बढ़ जाता है. ये तो आपकी basic economy, basic science है आपकी. We need to work on that, and I think he really needs to promote that. And he has the power to provoke the youth. He has the power to provoke people. So tell them about this. Tell them, educate them about the importance of media. I think it's very important.
Well said. Well said. Hareem, towards the very end, if you're comfortable, can you share with us your future plans, any upcoming films that our viewers could perhaps, look forward to?
I would have loved to share it, but मुझे वो थोड़ा सा होता है कि unless I let my work speak. I let my work speak. So unless or until it's not executed and it's not materialized, I don't talk much about it. People call me, the people also say कि अच्छा तुम बड़ी चालाक हो, and I'm like, it's not that. It's not that. It's just, this is what I believe. Unless or until एक चीज materialize नहीं होती, I don't talk about it. But the only thing I can say is that yes, there's some big things, there's huge things that I'm working on. So inshallah, I mean, do pray, please. I need all the prayers. If when that goes through, I won't have to talk about it. People would know, inshallah.
Inshallah, well done, well said. Actually, on a very lighter note, in the end, before we end the interview, Hareem, if I were to ask you which film was a better film between Lal Kabutar and Parchi, which one would you pick and why?
Parchi. That's my film. That's my film.
That's the film.
Because but I'm that loyal person. That's my film. That's my film. It's going to be Parchi for me.
Of course. Your own project. Yeah, makes sense. Hareem, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the show. And inshallah, we wish you all the very best with your future projects. And hopefully, inshallah, when your new project comes out, we'll have you again and have your views on your next film or whatever the project is. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, truly.
Thank you, Ahsan, for having me over and asking me some really intellectual questions. It's been a long time that I got to answer such good questions. Good. So thank you.
Some deep discussions, eh?
Absolutely.
That was it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you all next week, same time. So thank you.